Hey everybody, welcome back to Champ and Sons and our Planet Coaster series that we have not been in quite a while, but I am glad to be back in it here at the Austin Carnival, which is now expanding to be a nice looking theme park at this point. We got 3 coasters. We will be adding another one in today. And we did put in a nice little flat ride here, the Chaos 360. It's that little spinning piece. I don't know what kind of flat ride that really is. I think it's supposed to be like a magic carpet type theme. But we're calling it Chaos 360, removing some of the design of it. And it's actually a pretty good fit. In the side after building the river rapids the last time we were in it, it's kind of what do we fill in the space with? And this actually works out pretty damn well for us, I would say. And so I think it's a really good fit. And then we did put in a little food section here, with just some tables, some little umbrella things for people to sit at and relax at, as we got a few little shops in it. And so I think it works out pretty well for the edge kind of border of the park to add something into it. We did make some changes over here on the other side. So for those people who do remember what it was before, that kind of cut off at this section right at the wooden coaster. So we removed a lot of those trees and I added this path in. And it's added the connector, which has actually fed a lot more into the quarry coaster over here. And so while the trains aren't full yet, the number of people in the park are growing, and it's just an easier flow to this coaster. And so we are seeing an uptick in essentially people going to it. It's worked out pretty well. I'm going to keep the boundary kind of the park right there, so the wall with the planter that you'll see that you see down there, but from the front we will extend this along this pathway here, kind of cut it off and turn it in that way, so that way we have a decent sized parking lot coming in, and then maybe fold in a water park somewhere. I haven't really decided that yet, after the last one that I built was way too massive. But we'll have a little road entrance way coming in from right there, and so the parking lot will take up this little space. I guess it's not really technically little, but it will take up this space right there, and then you can kind of see how that will help shape out the rest of the park as we go. Like I said, this is a perfect zone for a small little water park. I do think that. I think one would fit in perfectly right there with lazy rivers, some slides, and all that fun kind of jazz. So we do have that going for us. But what we are going to look at is what kind of coaster or ride do we want next, right? So we've got the 3 coasters. We've got, 6 to 8 flat rides plus the river rapids. And I think a coaster does fit in perfect in this spot, but the question is what kind, because you don't want it to be something that's too massive, but you want it to be a pretty decent draw, because I want to try to squeeze it into the space between these 2 paths. Might be a little difficult, but I've got an idea here, and there's a couple different options that we can go with. You take a look at launch coasters, right? So we could use a launch coaster. We can make it very tight, compact. Have a lot of speed, a lot of thrills, a lot of inversions. So that we have big imps launched LSM. We do have that option, or I think something that I've seen done before that's going to be a pretty good option for us as well is possibly the vertical drop coaster. Let me see if I can. There it is. Yeah, our vertical drop. That's a pretty good. Those can be compact while also having decent size, and interact with the path work pretty well, I think. So we're probably going to go with this one here. So we're going to get this place, and I did put that 4-meter wall because I don't always want the station and all that stuff to always be on the ground. And I want it to be up a little bit, but in reality, some of them, aren't always going to be up that high off the ground. So I figure 4 meters is a pretty decent height, and I'm going from the base of where the people are standing. So I could go from the bottom of it, but I think the base from where people are standing, it provides a decent amount of height to the station, nothing too crazy, right? So We are going to jump into a time lapse here coming up to have this thing built. You can kind of see me just really getting going with the lift hill. I did go with 45 feet or 45 degree angle on it, so that way we kept it nice and compact, and that's not, unheard of for these. And one problem with this that I didn't expect is how far down are we going to go? And I actually don't mind that because I like, god dang, got to pick the right pieces here, folks. I kind of did want to have that path interaction, so there's this whole channel that hasn't, I don't think it's posted anything in a while. Like, I think it's called Deke FTW that had a vertical drop coaster, very similar. Really is partly the inspiration for this one. And I really like how that turned out with the pathing work, so it's going to be kind of emulating that as we come down off this initial drop. And then the rest of it is going to be pure chaos in between. I am going to try to build a majority of these of the coaster is going to be, I'm going to try to have it done in custom made pieces. I'm not very good at that, as you can kind of see, but we're going to give it our best go of it. So you'll see me going through and doing the smoothing out every now and then periodically, as we are, as you can obviously tell now, into the time lapse. And you're going to see this thing kind of really come together over time, and then I'll catch up with y'all as we get closer and more into kind of the theming of it here in a little while. But outside of that, guys, enjoy the tunes, and I will catch back up with y'all in just a wee bit. All right, and I am back as we are really kind of getting this thing really decorated out, and we are going to go with the name of Demon Drop. I think it works out pretty well. And I haven't done it actually yet as the time of this voiceover because we're not completely finished with the coaster overall as far as its design goes. And a lot of the stuff, we do get pretty close to it. There's some finer point touches I do want to add on. But I think, it's coming along pretty well. Now, the drop, I did have the problem because with the daytime, it's always incredibly well lit and all that fun jazz. So, I had that slight issue. But other than that, coming through this little tunnel portion, I did want it to be dark. Like, I want you dropping into, a dark hole that, don't worry, I'm gonna light it up, but I'm gonna add some red light. That adds a little bit of the mood to it, the demon drop mood. So you'll see me changing the coloring here. Get the lights in, make it nighttime, put them all in so it lights up this kind of cavern. Like you're dropping down into the depths of hell, to say the least. So getting that going into it, and I wanted to have a lot of head chopper moments, right? That was a big deal. I wanted to have a lot of those. Oh man, put my hands down because they're about to be chopped off. Now, in this park, there's a good chance that would actually happen with some of these things. Let's be honest here. But it's one of those things that I think this works out really well with the way it comes out. Just some of the finer point, make sure they're underneath the track. You're not going to have all the pristine grass and all that. So we did do a little bit of surface painting. Not too big of a deal here. But I'm going to get the station kind of start going, and I like how it does turn out. It works out pretty well. It is one of these things that, I still have to do, like I said, some finer point stuff with, because that whole blank space right there next to it is going to be our usual gift shop affiliated with the ride alone, so it's not something that, is going to be really separate from it. So we do have stuff to build that, and like I said, a lot of the finer point details of some stuff that I've thought of after the build. That's play Planet Coaster long enough, you're going to really start thinking of stuff after you build it, and you're like, oh crap, that would actually look good. So I will go back and put it in, but that'll all be kind of in the next episode. I'll highlight that for y'all as we do finish off this complete section with the gift shop and everything on the next go around. Before this station house, right? So this is in a Carnival that is expanding out. We added a B&M ride, and then we added in a river rapids. Pretty technical river rapids for someone like me, and for this kind of, if you think about it, for this kind of park. So, like I said, I don't like having closed in stations. I really don't. Sometimes I will if the ride calls for it. So I do think there are some, you have more of a space themed kind of ride. Yeah, it's going to be a closed in station. And I think you can do a lot of stuff with that. But for one like this, I wanted to keep it more of a modern feel to it. So you'll see with the roof, we are going to obviously color it, but kind of how we wanted to get this roof set up. I didn't want it to just be, kind of rigid. It needs to be a little bit more fluid. This is a more technological, I guess, coaster in the sense. This one is our newer one, so it obviously would have come way after our standard B&M. This would be a new style form for the park. And I think, like I said, it works out really well, but with as far as station design goes, I really needed it to be something that we could have in this sense, a little bit more modern, but not over the top. That's kind of what I was going for. Think about it. That's a good way to put it. Modern, just not over the top. And so that's what we did with this station. Like I said, there's still a lot of stuff that's got to be done. Guys, this is not a single episode complete build. We are doing it as we kind of go off in chunks, and we're able to get things completed. But it is coming along really well. And I do like, the black and the red. I really like how it fits. So now One thing that I was wanting to make sure of with this park is that each ride essentially had its own kind of themed area, specific for that ride. So that's what this is. Demon Drop, you see all the black and the red. And the Quarry, you got all the rock work and looking like, buildings from a rock quarry. Blue Streak is basic blue and gray kind of building right over there. River Rapids, it's all the jungle River Rapids kind of stuff. So it's not a section, it's based off the ride. Theming is done off the ride. And so here we are making the Demon Drop sign, which comes out pretty well. I kind of actually surprised myself. These are pretty standard pieces, so outside of using them separately, not a whole lot was truly done in a sense as far as these things are concerned. But I do like how using the signage did come out with them, especially these flames. These flames really worked out. I enjoyed having them on it, and it's something that adds an additional little touch to the ride. I do think that for sure. So it is good to see that happen, and to see this thing kind of really come along. So some of the extra little border pieces, we're trying to, I want to at least try to get the station done. That's always the biggest thing, is setting goals for what I want to actually build and make sure to get that completed. So I knew coming into this, I think this is a total around 4 hours worth of footage. Probably wasn't going to have the whole thing completed. It was a risk, but I knew what I wanted to get done in it, and we did a really good job with it in terms of adding the new ride to the park. It has not been opened yet, so don't worry, I have not opened it yet. I just got the ride design station, and then we do have, I guess you could call it a custom sign built, but more of a type of mascot thing. And I had originally gone to the workshop to look at seeing if someone had something better. Really just got inspiration there from how to build, I guess you could say, a demon rising out of the ground, right? That was kind of my thought on it. I did want to use these rocks to add some nature, and I might still do stuff like that as we go, just because just all the railing just without it looks kind of wonky, I guess. I don't know. I'm still not too sure about it. Little flamethrowers in here. I do add fire, because you got to think Demon Drop, you're going into the depths of hell. You're going to see some fire, and if they had brimstone in this thing, there would be damn brimstone too. In a sense, I would imagine this obviously to be fake fire, so you're not burning the people. But, also at the same time, you're going by fast enough, you're not really going to get burned by it. And I noticed I put some of it too close to a wall, so I need to add some rock. And this is why I might go back through and finish some in the next episode, add in some rock work and stuff like that throughout, just because I did have to put it in to kind of cover up these flames on the outside. But it's on this other building too. Yeah, I did have to do that. So that's kind of just the way it works sometimes with these things. But once again, it still turns out pretty damn good. So these little pieces right here, it's not something you would actually see too much of. It is kind of hidden off from even the walking path, but definitely while you're on the coaster, you're probably not going to end up seeing it too much like that. So I did build this custom stuff, demon and all that shit off camera. And this is how it turned out right here. So it actually works as a pretty perfect space filler for it. Just even trying to go back through and change the color just a little bit. Make it look a little bit better. And it's just taking the statue pieces along with the Viking pieces, making them large, and making it look like he's rising out of the ground. So we do call it Demon Drop, and I like how that turned out pretty damn well. It pops off, I think, and is a perfect little cornerstone to the park. People coming around that way. Everybody else coming around on the other side is going to get the not guest services, but is going to get the gift shop and all that type of stuff. So it really works out. I like having the rock background to it. That I think adds just a nice little touch onto it. So this is what we got as far as Demon Drop goes. So we're going to go ahead and hop on into this ride, guys, and I am going to let y'all go from here. So definitely enjoy the ride, And guys, I'll see y'all in the next episode. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't hit it already. And as always, everybody, stay safe. And, well, y'all know how it goes from here, right? Later, y'all.